What if Shu with Storm Spriggan in Beyblade Burst Season 1 beat Louis in the finals instead of having his bay broken? This is part 2 because you guys like part 1, where we left off with Vault breaking Spriggan Requiem in the God Tournament finals. Now, of course, in the original Turbo story, which is where we're at right now, Iger will meet Vault, he will become a Blader, and in this case, because Iger would meet Vault earlier on, he would in fact become the captain of the Begoma Academy Bay Club instead of Fubuki, and Vault would leave. And Fubuki, who originally takes the apprentice of Shu in this case, because Shu is not, his corruption of his bay is still evil, he's still very evil, still very revengeful, is going to take Fubuki under his wing and influence him, making Fubuki very evil and having a lust for power. Suo and Ranjiro, who were there at the Begum Academy Bay Club, would befriend Iger, and instead of Fubuki, Ranjiro, and Iger, Suo, Ranjiro, and Iger would become the main duo of the Begum Academy Bay Club. Fubuki would come later on, challenging all the Bladers in Begum Academy Bay Club to 100 bays. He beats them and he loses to Iger with a score of 1-2, as Iger did originally, battling 100 Bladers and then losing to Fubuki with a score of 1-2. Afterwards, Iger would try to befriend Fubuki, having a positive attitude towards everything as he is, under the mentorship of Vault. But Fubuki just wants more power and decides to leave and come back as a stronger Blader. And it is at this point in time that the Luinor Cup starts to commence. Because because Iger has been training with Ranjiro so much, Ranjiro is able to knock Suo out of the tournament, leaving the top 4 Bladers as Iger versus Hercules and Fubuki versus Ranjiro. Fubuki is much more powerful than he was originally because of his lust for power, and because of that he's able to easily beat Ranjiro, where Iger beats Hercules as originally in the story. The finals of the tournament would be Iger versus Fubuki, who again, Fubuki is much more powerful than he was originally because he's off on his own training under Shu for a longer time instead of Iger training with him originally and Iger becoming stronger. Fubuki under Shu is becoming stronger all on his own and is able to beat Iger because of that. Afterwards, in the finals, Fubuki is able to challenge Louis for the title of the Luinor Cup champion. However, Louis is completely out of his league, and Louis wants to destroy Fubuki, not only because he's Shu's apprentice, but to show Shu how powerful Louis is. Originally, Louis against Iger, he had no grudge against Iger, and it was kind of plot armor. In this case, Fubuki is Shu's apprentice, and Louis holds a grudge against Shu, so he wants to destroy Shu's creation, essentially, and he destroys Fornius. And now that Fornius is destroyed, the 9-Blader battleship cruise begins. Just like the original story, Fubuki is the last of the 9 Bladers to come on the ship, but because he's been under the apprenticeship of Shu, he's able to evolve his destroyed Fornius into Turbo Fornius, just like Turbo Valkyrie, Turbo Spriggan, and Turbo Achilles, into the Chozi system. However, on the ship, Louis will replace Suo because that just didn't make sense, and for this story it makes sense. So the 3 Bladers on the battleship cruise that everyone fears the most are Phi, who is originally a very powerful, mysterious Blader, Louis, who is obviously just coming off of destroying Fornius, and a very powerful Blader, one of the top 4 in the world, and Fubuki, obviously, with his evil bay evolution, becoming much more powerful and revengeful after having his bay just destroyed. Now, in the end, Fubuki, Louis, Phi, and Iger are the 4 main Bladers left. Fubuki is able to beat Phi because of his just revenge. Phi just wants to play with Iger as the original story, but Fubuki has a much more driving motivation, as in revenge. Louis, who is now much more powerful, is able to break Achilles, and that is basically the end of Iger's story in this case. Louis and Fubuki, who are in the finals, both crack the stadium, and similar to how Phi and Iger were both able to challenge Vault after being the champions of the battleship cruise, Louis and Fornius are both able to challenge Valkyrie. Louis, who challenges Vault first, is able to break Valkyrie just as Iger broke Valkyrie originally. After Fubuki witnesses how powerful Louis is, destroying Valkyrie, Achilles, and his bay previously, he's riled up, his revenge motivation is even higher, through the roof, and he uses all the skills, all the knowledge with his newfound bay, Turbo Fornius, to break Luinor. Now, Louis broke Vault's bay, Iger's bay, and Fubuki's bay, and Fubuki just broke Luinor. So now that Shu is watching, Shu sees how strong his apprentice Fubuki has become, and Shu's whole goal here is that he doesn't want to be weak anymore, right? In the original part 1, he beat Louis, but then he's overshadowed by Volt, who has become much more powerful than him, and he's just sick of losing to all these bladers, having his bay cracked, or having his bay broken, or just losing to all these powerful bladers. Now that Fubuki has beaten these powerful bladers, he sees how powerful Fubuki has become and challenges him. However, in the end, Fubuki beats Chozi Spriggan, and Shu realizes what he has made Fubuki become. Shu realizes that under the mentorship of him, Fubuki has become what he was as Red Eye, and now Shu is turned back to the good side, realizing what he's made Fubuki become. Fubuki is now the world champion, having beaten Luinor, Volt, and Spriggan, all on the stage for the world to see, and Fubuki declares that he will destroy any bay that faces him furthermore. This is part 2. If you want to see a part 3, I might do that if this video is popular enough, or if you guys get this video to 25 likes, let's say. And that'll be it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, subscribe if you enjoyed, and don't forget to keep on blading.